All right, good morning and welcome to our Commerce Server session here at MIX07. I'm Ryan Donovan. I'm the product unit manager of the Commerce Server group in Redmond. So in English, that means I'm responsible for both the business and the technology side. Also got my colleague Philippe here from Cactus Commerce, which is one of our core go-to-market partners for the product. They'll actually is out in the real world deploying this in real customer environments to show us some of the things today for our demos. What I really wanted to do today is cover really 4 points, which is, what's happening in e-commerce and why is it relevant? Why should I care? Didn't this thing die in the dot-com bust and all that? What's Microsoft's really focus in e-commerce these days? And how can some of the emerging technologies like Silverlight and Windows Presentation Foundation, et cetera, be relevant in the e-commerce space? And then really put that all together with actual multi-channel solutions that you can actually build today are some of the things that we wanted to cover. Given that we've got a lot of material and are really tightly constrained on time, what I'd like to do is hold questions to the end, and then Philippe and I will stay until the last question is answered. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and dive in and sort of just talk about some of the industry trends and what's going on in the e-commerce space today. Contrary to perceptions, e-commerce really is there's a lot of growth happening in the space. Depending upon which analyst you like to trust, be it Forrester or AMR, anywhere from 38 to 72% of enterprises are going to be making some large investment in e-commerce over the next several years. And this is really driven by a couple of different trends. One of which, the most obvious, is infrastructure renewal. A lot of the solutions that were put in place in the late 1990s, we've still got some customers running Site Server 3 Commerce Edition. That stuff is starting to get kind of old and moldy, and it's just being very difficult and costly to support on an ongoing basis. So a lot of people are making investments just to get rid of things that were put in place 5+ years ago. The other thing that we're seeing is multi-channel retailing really coming of age. And this is the main business reason why people are making investments in e-commerce. If you really think about it, the concept of having one identity that works in the store, on a mobile device, online, or through other interactive experiences is really compelling. But actually getting there can represent a fair bit of work to actually get there. And so that's something that, from a technology perspective, we've got a much better story to tell now than we did 12 months ago, since making some of those things real is going to be substantially easier with the advent of things like BizTalk and web services, Windows Communication Foundation, et cetera. And the net result from a business perspective of why would you care about multi-channels, at the end of the day, it's going to drive more revenue. And just the enhanced customer experience of being able to, for example, order something online and pick it up in a store 15 minutes later, or buy something online and return in the store, or go to the store, find out they're out of your size, and be able to order it in the store and have it show up on your doorstep after you've had a chance to actually examine the merchandise. This is really compelling from a customer experience perspective, and is really causing a lot of investment in the space. The other big reason why we're seeing people invest a lot in e-commerce is international expansion. You've got a US-based company now adding e-commerce presence for the international subsidiaries. And you've got a lot of international companies coming online for the first time. So that's also driving a lot of new business. And then you've got rich media technologies such as Silverlight. And this is really changing the game. Forrester, for example, did a study earlier in 2006 that some of you may or may not have seen that really their end conclusion is that rich interactive applications is going to change the way people think about and build websites. They did a usability test of common consumer scenarios and took neophyte users, put them through the paces of actually doing a task online. The interesting conclusion was the only ones that met a bar for general usability with someone like my parents were the rich interactive applications and the standard HTML and lightweight AJAX sites that we've known and loved for the last couple of years. Not one of those actually passed a general consumer usability test. So that's very telling and really shows why this new wave of technology is important, because if you really want to bring some of these online experiences to the masses, you have to think differently from a user experience perspective to make it a lot more easy than it has been in the past. So that's kind of what's going on in the industry. So what does Microsoft's play in the space? Well, it's Commerce Server 2007 for the enterprise customer. When people ask, what is Commerce Server, and they answer, is it a platform? Is it an application? Is it a tool set? The answer is really, it's all of the above. This is one of those products that actually has multiple faces to it. It's got a complete developer story to extend ASP.NET and Visual Studio for building e-commerce applications. It's got a complete set of business user tools that those that are the marketing managers that think about, what is the pricing mix, what products can I actually see and buy online, et cetera, can use without actually having to have a computer science degree. And then it's got the tools for the guys that live off in the data center whose principal focus is keeping the lights on and keeping the servers up and keeping them running well. That's really what Commerce Server is all about. With the 2007 release, we've put a lot of our focus and investment energies on really enabling some of the multi-channel scenarios that I was speaking of, such as how do I take what's online and integrate it with the store or with other channel experiences like mobility, or rich interactive technologies. A lot of the other things we've put a lot of investment in is performance and scale. How much hardware do you need to run a website? I've seen customers that are running their e-commerce website on several hundred servers today, when the reality is if they were using the most current crop of technologies, that need only be a dozen or so servers. And just think of the TCO savings that would go into not having to have 300 servers to run your online storefront. And then the other big investment area was really some of the integration capabilities that I'll be speaking more about. So from our perspective, Commerce 2007, this was really where we deeply dove into from an investment perspective. And the product is really built on three fundamental pillars. Starting with the customer satisfaction, it was really get the e-commerce story right. So we've put our focus there on making sure that the core e-commerce capabilities, things like catalogs, inventory, shopping carts, checkout, tool set, business tools, are really just, best of breed, can play with anyone in the marketplace in a comparable fashion. The connected commerce piece is where we really view our differentiating piece. For example, Commerce Server is the only e-commerce solution today that's fully web service enabled out of the box. If you go look at any of the Java-based solutions, they're still getting there and are about a year plus behind where Microsoft is. And I think, well, why is this relevant? Well, the average enterprise can have 60 to 80 different integration points with their solution. And when it comes time to actually wiring all of those up, having something that plays well with web services is really compelling. Or think about B2B scenarios. Maybe you want someone to have a different storefront, and you want them to be able to check out using your infrastructure, but their front-end site. That's something that web services will enable as well, too. So, a lot of really compelling capabilities on, to really reduce that integration pain point. I mean, some of the statistics have shown that as much as 80% of a deployment cost on e-commerce is sunk just into integration. And so that's something we think we've really, made a lot of investment at reducing that, pain threshold. The other last area is really platform integration. How does just taking advantage of the latest and greatest technologies, such as .NET 2.0 and 3.0, and then 3.5 when it becomes released later this year, the latest Visual Studio tools, the latest SQL Server tools, latest BizTalk, etc. So that's really what Commerce Server 2007 is all about. So when you actually deconstruct that into the actual bits and bytes that come on the product CD, you actually end up with an architecture similar to what's shown out here. So at the bottom of the stack, you've got SQL Server running as your database repository. Above that, you've got IIS and ASP.NET 2.0. Then on top of that, you have each of the commerce subsystems. So you've got, for example, you've got catalogs, inventory, marketing, orders, user profiles, and so forth. Think of these as really extensions of the ASP.NET programming model for enterprise-grade e-commerce scenarios. So, for example, everything you need to do to query or update products, etc., lies there. Very natural, seamless experience in Visual Studio. On top of that, we provide our web service layer that I was speaking of. So each of these areas has a corresponding web service that's exposed as an ASP.NET web service. Then on top of that, we provide a variety of different functionalities. Moving out here, you can see we've got BizTalk adapters. So with that, if BizTalk 2006 or BizTalk 2006 R2, you can connect your Commerce Server deployment to literally any line of business or a trading partner or other business application that is BizTalk connected without writing any code. So if you think about that, if you've got an SAP deployment and the SAP adapter for BizTalk, you can wire it up and completely integrate it with your e-commerce infrastructure without actually having to go through all the hell of writing code, doing the data mappings, etc. It's just something you can go into the BizTalk tool set and do. So that's something that's very that will really help out that if you're a BizTalk shop. If not, if you've got a Java shop, for example, you can just simply write to our web services and it will just work. On top of that same web service layer is where we have our WinForms-based smart clients for actually managing the business data. So this is where you've got catalog management tools, marketing management tools, and customer and order management tools that will live on the business user's desktop that then can then go and connect to the web services to actually manage all the site data. So, for example, updating the price from $99 to $110, that's just simply, literally a click away. Then on top of the same API set, you can build one or as many different versions of the web storefront as possible, and that's something that we're going to be showing you a little bit more of here later today. And then finally, the IT Pro tool set to actually manage it all. So, for example, Microsoft Operations Manager, now System Center Operations Manager Management Pack, staging and deployment tools for content and data replication across environments, etc. So that's really what comes with Commerce Server 2007. To sort of show you how much has changed, this is what came in Commerce Server 2002, which was our last release. If we build this out to Commerce Server 2007, you can see that pretty much everything else that has come along is all brand new. Really showing just really how much effort and engineering investment has been done over the last 3 years to really make this the next generation solution for enterprises. So, with that, talk a little bit about performance and scale. Now we've talked a little bit about the capabilities. One of the things we did is actually go back and look at what does a top 10 global retailer actually do from a performance and scale perspective, and how do we make sure that we meet their needs. This was one of the largest investment points in the product. So we wanted to make sure that 2 goals were being accomplished when we did this level of investigation and optimization. One is have a very good scale-up story, meaning we can take advantage of multi-core architecture, 64-bit technologies, etc. The other was being able to scale out and build out your web farm with as many pizza boxes as you wanted without actually creating a massive choke point. Some of the requirements that really came out was, one, be able to process over 100,000 orders a day over an 11-hour peak at a traditional retail browse-to-buy ratio. This doesn't sound like a lot until you realize that you're potentially talking 2,000 to 3,000 page impressions that are querying an interactive database for every single checkout that you make. That is a heck of a lot of traffic, and that's actually pretty typical. The other thing is looking at very large complex catalogs, such as potentially if you're like an apparel retailer, you might ultimately have around 900 million plus SKUs by the time you're done, by the time you factor in all the different size, model, color combinations you might have. For example, I worked with an apparel retailer several years ago. One single pair of pants SKU was actually 945 individual SKUs by the time you enumerated all of the different size and style combinations available just for that one single pair of pants. So if you actually have to keep track of all the data that goes with that, your catalogs can get explosively large quite quickly. The other ones was user profiles. The average tier 1 retailer is going to have anywhere from 10 to 15 million user profiles by the time you factor in anonymous versus registered profiles. Another good example is if you get into some of the e-government or other scenarios, that can easily range to 50 million plus. And our goal at the end of the day was to be able to actually do this on commodity hardware, like an HP DL380, HP DL580 machines for the web and database servers, and keep the overall footprint to maybe 10 or so web servers and 2 to 4 database servers, depending on what you're doing. And that's pretty much where we actually ended up. Where we actually ended up was actually being able to achieve that. So this is something you can build on less than $250,000 worth of hardware and actually run a global enterprise on less than $250,000 worth of server hardware, and something you can actually go order online and not end up buying like a Superdome or a Unisys or something along those lines. And it's a far cry from the 300 servers you might have needed to do this in the past on things like legacy ASP or SQL Server. So that's really on the technology side. On the business side, what we've really been thinking about is really, how does Commerce Server play in the needs of a grander scheme of business? And so what we've done is really think about Commerce Server living at the hub attached to the back-end systems like the warehouse management system, like your merchandise management system, product line managers, like your ERP system if you've got SAP or Oracle Retail or something like that. Having data seamlessly flow in and out with your CPGs for vendor-managed inventory, direct fulfillment. Having data flow in and out for trading partners. For example, that punch-out scenario I described. And then actually having, being able to sell through as many different channels as you want, be it, through mobile devices, through point of sale in stores, through kiosks on the web itself, etc. All running off of one single code base. In previous generations of technology, regardless of which platform you're on, every one of these things would have been a separate app or separate piece of integration code to make something like this happen. With Commerce Server and with BizTalk, you literally can have one set of application code, your presentation exposed to multiple different flavors of ASP.NET technologies, and then finally, actually have BizTalk to wire up the rest, and it really can come down to one single code base. So that's really what we're focusing on enabling from a business perspective. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Philippe to actually show how you can take what I've just given you, this brief whirlwind overview of, and actually make it real from a technology perspective.
Thank you, Ryan. So again, I'm just going to repeat a bit what Ryan said in saying what is multi-channel. I want to emphasize that multi-channel from our perspective simply means selling to multiple devices in multi-channel. What are those devices? Well, there's your basic web clients, but there's also rich web clients, so using Silverlight, point-of-sale terminals, in-store kiosk, mobile applications, Xbox Live, BizTalk, third-party software. So the idea of a channel is not limited to a B2C scenario, but it also should think about the B2B. Right? So that's why commerce integration with BizTalk is so important. You can't limit your channels to only a client-facing software. Okay? Focus of the presentation today is going to be about two demos in a sense. One will be today's websites. How do you extend them today with current technologies such as Ajax and Silverlight? What can you do today to your own site, to your e-commerce site? So I'm going to show you a site built with Commerce Server 2007, and I'm going to show you how you can extend that with those two technologies. I'm going to also show you the Alpine Ski House multi-channel e-store. That store is actually composed of 4 channels. One is a rich web, which is built with WPF. The other one is a kiosk, an in-store kiosk application. We also built a point-of-sale terminal, and finally a mobile device.
One quick caveat, the rich client for the Alpine Ski House side of things is built in WPF today. Tomorrow that will be built with Silverlight 1.1. Some of the bits aren't quite there yet with the 1.1 version of Silverlight that's coming out. And so later this year, the 1.1 would be the story we'd use for the full rich client, but we're using some of the capabilities on the .NET side that just aren't quite there yet. So it's an XBAP running in WPF today.
Correct. So your company e-commerce site. I got 2 goals for this demo. First of all, I'm going to show you how Ajax and Silverlight are used to extend a site today, and also how that integrates with Commerce Server. Right? So we're all used to ASP.NET sites. Where's the integration points? How do you extend the commerce back to those new technologies? I won't have time to delve actually how to code Commerce Server, but I will talk about where is the Commerce Server information coming in and how you expose it from a presentation perspective. What's important to realize is that all these new technologies only make sense if actually showing proper data, useful data. Okay? Due to the time constraints, I won't go into every lines of code.
If you'd like to see more, we're more than happy to answer questions at the break.
Correct. The scenario. First one is an ad rotator, and the second one will be a movie preview control. Okay. So I will. So here is your company website. I'm going to maximize it a bit. It's a basic e-commerce site, fully functioning. It's built with Commerce Server. We have categories, we got subcategories, we got hot new products, featured customers, great deals. So we got basic information from a website perspective. What we have here in the middle is a ad rotator. It simply shows multiple advertisements. The information from the advertisements are coming from the marketing manager of Commerce Server. And now I'm using Ajax to actually just create the rotation. Simple, right? You take the information coming in and you expose it differently. I'm sure you all saw ad rotators before in JavaScript. What makes this one different? Well, first of all, Commerce Server is feeding the data, and second of all, I'm not using JavaScript. I'm using Ajax for .NET. So I'm going to show you the code. Here is my rotator control. Like you see, there's no JavaScript anywhere in sight. It's simply a update panel, which is the new ways of wrapping from Microsoft Ajax perspective the information, and that enables the content to be dynamically updated without using the post-backs functionality of HTML. It does that all for you. Then I can specify triggers. I can specify events, like the fact that the time, there's a tick. I specify my values every 5 seconds. What it does in the background, it actually gets the information, gets new sets of ads, increments uses a view state to increment. Oops, wrong one. Okay. So on the timer tick event, I simply get my promotions. I use my view state to know which one to show, my little modulo algorithm, and now I have 3 to show. What's the value here? Well, obviously you can show more than 3 ads, right? It's a bit more interactive. Okay.
You could also leverage Commerce Server's targeting engine underneath it to make sure that the ads are being pulled up are completely personalized.
Exactly.
And just data bind the capabilities that have already there and been there for a while, but just present them using the latest and greatest, Ajax technology.
Correct. So the Commerce Server, like just Ryan mentioned, has multiple ways of showing advertisements. One of them is based on the profile, who you are. What's your buying pattern? Are you, have you bought it before? Are you something you're interested? What are your interests? Oops. Forgot a slide earlier. I was too eager to show the demos. Architecture-wise, I still got to show you something here. Basically, you have your website, you got your business logic on top of Commerce Server, and that's it. You don't change your architecture to use Ajax, and you don't change it to use Silverlight. It's already part of the system in a sense because the integration points are really at the edge, at just the web page itself. There's no logic change to be done. Okay? So that's kind of important to mention that this is why it's already available. So quickly, I just showed you the ad rotator. So what do? I use my Commerce Server 2000 to retrieve the set of advertisement. Again, I benefit from all the functionality of commerce, like targeting and all those stuff. I encapsulate my user control. I added the time-based triggers, and also I modified my content when the controls, the trigger occurs. So I verify that that's when my looping occurs. Okay. What's my benefits? Well, the typical developer in ASP.NET is comfortable with ASP.NET, so you can leverage Ajax within the ASP.NET environment and get a much richer, like a simple, richer environment quickly.
And so even though Commerce Server 2007 shipped before the Ajax extensions for ASP.NET, there fortunately is not anything else you have to do to be able to leverage technology. It just is there and actually works. Oh, Silverlight.
Okay. Now I'm going to browse to a DVD categories. What I want to bring your attention to right now is that I have got 4 movies, which are actually Xbox games. These are coming from Commerce Server. So what's important is that when you browse information or when you show data, is where's the data coming from, right? You don't want to garbage in. You want it clean data, and that's where the Commerce Server feeding information is important. Now that I got this information, I got the proper information for my categories, how do I link it to something a bit more interactive? Well, in this case, what we did is if you press on an image, well, you get to view the preview of what you're looking at. Okay? So how is that beneficial? I'll just mute it. I can play it, stop it, pause it. Obviously, just looking at a picture of the movie is not clear what is that movie. What is it about? I'm sure you know, Pirates of the Caribbean, you look at it and you say, well, the guy looks drunk. What's the movie about? If you actually look at the preview, you start laughing, you're happy. You know, you might want to buy it then, all right? So details sometimes are not enough, especially for interactive content like a movie or a game. So it's important to also bring that other level of information, and that's something a Silverlight brings to life. So I'm going to go back to the code and show you this is the actual page that's hosting this Silverlight control along with the product list. So on line number 22, I'm instantiating my Silverlight control. All right? I'm giving it default width and height depending on information, and I'm setting a couple of values. And on line 39, that's where I specify where is it coming from, which Silverlight control should I show. All right? This is what's important. So I got Silverlight control, and I have a video product grid. So that's my page. So I'm going to show you first the content of the video product grid. Hold on. The Ajax control, the Silverlight control. Here there's I'll show you line numbers. Okay. On line number 6, that's where I put my background image. Line number 8, that's where I actually put a movie viewer, a media viewer. And then after that, it's the 3 buttons that you saw, the stop, the play, and the pause. What's interesting to notice is the name. Okay, these will be used by the JavaScript afterwards to actually isolate sub-controls within your control. Right? So if you want to reach the video and you actually want to do something with it, then you need to be able to find it. So that's how you find it. You identify them. It's a bit like in C# or any language where you have to uniquely identify your proper variables.
Yeah, and it's just data bound right from the feed coming straight out of the Commerce Server catalog.
Mouse left button down, what do I do? In this case, I want to call media stop from JavaScript. I want to do a media pause when I click on the pause media play block. So that JavaScript is the one that's going to be the glue between your ASP.NET feed or ASP.NET page and the actual Silverlight control. Okay? So knowing that these are actually being used, now we're going to go back and see the video product information. Here I'm using the ASP.NET 2 form view control to be able to list my list of the information. So I'm using an item template. Here I say it just basically simply the image. On line 8, on line 14, that's my little anchor on the bottom with the title of the information. And there's a price. As you see here, we actually get the information from the text is coming from the data-bound information that came from Commerce Server. So important. You have to get the right data, otherwise you won't be able to use it. Okay, I got a list of products, but how is Silverlight working? This is how we do it. On the pre-render method on line 46, we call a method called prepare JavaScript. That method is the one that is adding the glue to my page. On line 61, I leverage ASP.NET to say, hey, if that JavaScript is not registered, I need you to register it. Otherwise, it's already part of the page, so you don't need to duplicate the information.
One key data point here, this is for Silverlight 1.0. In Silverlight 1.1 and above, you could be doing this in .NET instead of in JavaScript.
Yeah. We are trailblazer.
We want to show you what you could actually do today.
Here, load movie to viewer. This is where the magic happens, if you will, because this is where I get my element by ID, I get my hosted Silverlight control, and I say, go get the element video in it, and set the source property to be the movie name. So once you do that, then the movie element knows what to do, and it shows the movie. Quite easy to do, simple. And that's my glue between the data that came from Commerce Server and the data now exposed with Silverlight. Okay? The other methods are also present, like what you do on a media stop, media pause, and a media begin. I found my video element and I give it the proper orders. Stop, pause, and play. Okay? I'm just going to do a quick recap of what I just showed. I added the Silverlight control to my ASP.NET page. I returned my list of product from Commerce Server. Oh, kind of forgot to show that part.
That's pretty straightforward. That's just in our catalog, so that's nothing that we haven't been doing for years. Just now, now the in destination is just a little bit different this time.
Yes, it's a presentation. Item template to present the product inside a grid view. I'm using the grid view, the form view, to be able to properly display my information. And I register my JavaScript, so now that the events coming from Commerce Server, so the products themselves, with their movie names and all that stuff that's present in the information is now available to be consumed for Silverlight. Okay, what's my benefit? Well, I think it's quite compelling to be able to actually show that kind of information easily and also integrate easily with the ASP.NET. The learning curve, or the time to market, if you will, is greatly reduced, and it opens a lot of possibilities. So today I show a movie, and tomorrow could be something else. There's a lot of potential there in terms of interactivity that work with ASP.NET. So it's very integrated. I'm sure next version of Visual Studio will do even a lot more for that integration. It'll be a lot more seamless. The designer will work properly and all that stuff. Right now I showed you the XML version if you want. There's also the design surface.
Yep.
Today you can use Microsoft Blend.
Yep. Expression
Orcus,
Blend.
The beta version, and then you would see them in the design mode.
Yep. So next time we show this, we'll be using Silverlight 1.1, Blend, and Orcus, and that will make it just that much even better.
Correct. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about the Alpine Ski House. That's more of a store of the future, if you want. So it's not today; it's more tomorrow. Okay. I got two goals. How is Commerce Server enabling multi-channel? You might think it's just for websites. Well, it's not. Okay, it's more about how you use it, how you configure it. And the other thing is, I'm going to show you a broad set of devices that all connect together. So it's not just the end clients. There's multiple devices that work together for a full channel experience. As an example, the infamous scanner, has to be there, right, somewhere in the equation if you have a serious point-of-sale terminal. Okay.
Or my mobile handheld phone, being able to actually navigate this on my Trio.
Correct. I got 4 applications. Rich Web, WPF. Again, we'll move to Silverlight.
1.1 when it's available.
Yes. WinForm for point-of-sale terminal. WPF for in-store kiosk. And Mobile 5 for a mobile application. So these are 4 they're quite different applications. How's the architecture? Well, the architecture, because they're rich client in a sense, you could actually call Commerce Server right away. There's a set of web services you can use. There's a lot of libraries to use Commerce Server. For the purpose of all those devices, what we do, though, is we expose Commerce Server in a somewhat friendlier way for mobile devices, for instance. The mobile device, you don't want to do a get search product and return 500,000 products. It might not like it. So you kind of, you expose it a bit differently. You specialize it a bit more so that different devices can connect properly with the proper platform.
But the key message to take away here is that this is just a simple extension of the web services that ship. It's not something that you're going to have to go do from scratch because the core infrastructure to provide these capabilities is already there. As Philippe noted, it's just really more about extending it to tailor, to the nuances of the actual in-device.
Correct. So it's more of a configuration exercise if you want. So here, what do I want to do? What is different? And then you just do it. I'm going to go through 2 in-store pickup scenarios. The first one will be with the web client, and the second one will be with the kiosk application. And right away, you'll see a bit the devices, how they come together, and also do a bit of a code walkthrough. Again, because of time, I'll show just some of the area where the presentation meets the commerce. Okay, so what you have to do to make this happen. What you have here is a Alpine Ski House rich web client. It's hosted in IE. I just maximized it. It's a fully functioning site. You got a list of products. You got promotions. You have all the normal information you want. You can search over information. You can, you can filter on items.
And this is really where Silverlight 1.1 will give you really a compelling user experience in terms of the things you can do that you just would be very hard-pressed to do on a standard Ajax-based website today, like the filtering, the transparencies, the slider bars, etc.
So in this case, I'm filtering on the price, and I'm just graying out the values that are not there. So what's important here is that I could have simply removed them, but I keep them. The reason is a lot of times the search, it's not a black and white situation. It's more of a gray area in the sense that I'm looking for this. So I said 250, but this one at 260, you know what? It looks really good. I still want to buy it. Okay? So you have to be aware when you actually remove everything from the list because there might also be impacts. In this case, this looks good. For the purpose of the demo, I'll be Jane. You'll see later why. So I'm going to get some details on it. So what's important here is that I get more details, obviously. I even get user reviews. I get 50 loyalty points, too, if I buy it. So we extended commerce to actually also account for loyalty points. And I also have matching items. These are cross-sell items. These are things that Commerce Server allows you to create links between products. So when you see products, what is also related to this? So in this case, well, we got a toque, boots. I could have perhaps as wax. I could have different products associated with it. So here I got a nice application to show it. Now I'm going to add to my basket. In the background, you'll see that my basket expanded. Okay? It's quite subtle. Because one of the ideas is that you always be able to view your shopping cart at all time. Okay? This allows you to do it. We want to emphasize that WPF could be misused in the sense that you can have a lot of glitz, lots of everything, lots of blinking lights. What we promote is more of a subtle little changes that just adds a bit of a polish, but don't distract from the actual buying experience. So here I'm specifying a size, 150. And I'm going to check out. Now the system wants me to log in. Because I'm a loyal customer, I'm going to use, I have a CardSpace account set up. So I'm going to use CardSpace to link with the system. When it's not connected with the internet, it doesn't.
It can be slightly slow.
So here's my card. This is something I already sent. I can see what kind of information I have. What will I send to the site? And I'm going to send it. So the CardSpace integration is really nice because it's also at the client level. Okay? So it's not something, it's not like Passport where you have to go to a third party. All the information is always local. You don't, and then you control what you send. You always can know what's going to be sent. So it's very interesting technology from Microsoft. So I'm going to do in-store kiosk. Here the yellow lights means I'm checking the inventory. Green means it's in inventory. Red would mean I'm out of stock. I'm going to select the store. For the purpose of the demo, I already entered my Alpine Ski House credit card number. Because I'm going to use my credit card, I'm also getting bonus points. Here I'm ready to move on and print a receipt. So because this is a home client, excuse me, I'm going to print my order. So I'm printing my own receipt. One thing to notice while this is printing is that there's a code bar. The code bar is the actual order number. That allows you to, from a point-of-sale terminal perspective, to easily scan in the numbers. So I got an order. If I look at my point-of-sale terminal, is it the time, proper time, 11:29? New orders. It's flashing. Okay. The important thing with this new order thing is that from a point-of-sale terminal perspective, I can then go into a fulfillment scenario. So what that means is that you are, let's say there's a downtime in your store. You know there's an order coming in, so you can actually go get the products, in this case my girly skis, and fill it in. Oops, wrong order. So that's my girly skis. I can scan them. Now it says picked one. I have completed my order, and now my order is done. What's interesting there is that when the person actually comes in to the store, she comes with a receipt. I pick up the receipt. I see it was an order. I see, well, in this case, I just put one product, but if I had more than one product, you could just click on it. At the bottom of the screen, I still see my toque and my boots. I still have cross-sell opportunities when I sell. When they buy the ski, I say, hey, by the way, do you have the proper boots, or do you know there's boots on sales? Also to notice, the promotions on the left. These are the same promotions you saw in the Alpine Ski House home client. They're all coming from Commerce. They're all integrated, shown quite differently. but they're all coming. So what's important is the data coming in. In this case, so scanning my order, I see status fulfilled. It's because I did that before, right? I scanned the tick, I put it in the back, I can bring it in front, and now people can verify the orders, scan the items again, make sure that everything is fine and the client's happy, and can move on with the payment process. They already provided the card when they did their checkout, their order, but they can change their mind and decide to use Visa instead. In this case, I'm happy. And that's it. My point of sale has now been integrated with my flow in terms of multi-channel. Okay? If I look into the kiosk, so the kiosk is pretty much the same flow in the sense that the user is inside the store. They're seeing skis. Perhaps they're in the store that doesn't have the ski, so I was just going to buy it in the kiosk and go pick it up somewhere else before somebody picks them up.
Yep, just like the self-checkout things at the Home Depot.
Yep. Hopefully I didn't start too. Okay, so that's D. Okay. So we here have a in-store kiosk. The look is quite different. Still using WPF. You'll notice that everything is bigger. That's because it has to be normally to be on a touch screen. It has to be fat finger friendly.
Yep, so this is where you would want to probably think about using full WPF as opposed to Silverlight 1.1, so you can, for example, tie into the hardware to do the touchscreen interface pieces.
Correct. And also, Jane, in this case it's Jane Daw, is actually a loyal to customer, so she tied to the kiosk could be a reader. In this case, it's a near-field RFID reader. So Jane can just come in and welcome Jane. I'm logged in. So if I have orders, I want to see things, if I have personal promotions for me, anything related to my account is available. I just scanned it with my touchless RFID loyalty card. So I'm going to look for my skis.
Yep, and then you can see pretty much the same user experience, only this time optimized for the touchscreen experience, running again off of the same code base and data binding as what you just saw for the web and for the point of sale.
I didn't show in the other client, but compare is also available. But just for a kiosk, if you want to compare products, you get to see your products coming in, all right? And then you get to compare information. Do you like it? You don't like it? You get pick and choose. You also have the filters that I showed earlier, right? A bit fatter, a bit bigger for the fingers. Same kind of logic. You hide a bit what the user doesn't want to see now. If I want to buy it, here I specify my size, add it to my cart, and in this case I'm ready to check out. I want to do an in-store pickup. I'm going to go here. Another thing to notice is I'm in a kiosk. I don't have a keyboard, so we created a keyboard that's useful for again the fat finger. Okay. Credit card. I'm a loyal customer, so I can just swipe my card again. Card information is entered, and continue and print the receipt. Actually, I also have a little printer that I usually bring, but the airport doesn't like it when it's too heavy. The important thing is that these devices, the printer and the kiosk, and also I didn't have to use the special drivers for them because I'm using Microsoft POS for .NET. POS stands for point of sale, point of service, sorry. So again, another technology from Microsoft that helps me integrate devices, scanners, and stuff like that easily, all in C#. I don't have to deal with the devices, so it's a bit the same paradigm for printing. So you don't install a lot of devices, just prints, it just works, okay? And I'm going to show a bit the code. Okay. Here I'm retrieving a list of products from Commerce Server inside my kiosk. It's actually the same code that's part here because it was built with WPF. Obviously, the same core library will be modified once we move to new technologies. The idea is that on line 38, I'm going to build my catalog service agent. So that these are proxy classes that the Commerce Server comes with to easily connect with the web services. Also offer caching abilities within that agent so that you get faster connections.
And paging is the other big part of that.
And paging, obviously.
And that's exactly the same architecture is used for the business user tools in Commerce Server itself.
Yeah. I'm setting my credentials, line 41. All this is done to create a context in which Commerce can work properly. It's line 43. I have a context. Commerce now knows where the catalog resides, set up everything. The caching is ready, paging is ready. It's ready to do the work. I'm from line 47 down to line 55. I'm specifying some values. Okay, well, what categories is the user looking at? Skis, boots. What is he doing? Okay. Is it in English? Is it in French? Commerce Server is multilingual. Okay, it's not just for the States. It's for the world. In this case, I specify it's English US. Could have been English Canada, right? Different spelling, different ways, obviously different currency. Commerce Server returns me a data set. Data set being it's the most flexible way of returning a lot of data, right? I'm going to build a product list. The reason I'm building product lists from that data set is that for WPF, to enable the rich functionality, you have to do something like this. My product list must be an observable collection and also implement the iNotify property change, line 14. This information allows WPF to hook events or listeners into what's going on inside my information. So, what is that used for? Well, an example is within the product list itself. When a property when a product within this list is being changed, this event is being called. One of them is valid. Did you choose a selected item? Is it installed? All different values to actually drive the is valid flag. And based on that, you can have the user interface react to it. You can start animations. You can scale things up and down. As an example, I'll go back to my Alpine ski house, which is C. So what I want to show here is that my K2 ride, it's not $259.59, it's $181.99. So it's actually on sale. All right? So the fact that it's on sale is going to drive a bit a different usability or user. It's going to drive the different behavior from a presentation perspective. C, D. So these are all triggers. Okay, that's why WPF, it's important to then wrap those properly so that WPF is enabled. And I'm going to show you the slides again. I just want to recap a bit what I just showed you guys. Rich Web Client. Well, I'm extending Commerce Server to notify the point of sales terminal. I'm using Microsoft Queues for that. So when we say we extend Commerce, well, I just configured when I receive an order, also put it in a queue so that the POS terminal has the new order showing up. So it is more event-based. I could use the notify system of live, all these things that are coming from Microsoft.
Yeah, whatever works best for the notification scenario for your business is something that's going to be a decision you're going to have to evaluate and then make, based on whatever infrastructure exists between your website and your stores.
Correct. And whether it's your website hosted in the store or it's outside. Because like Ryan said, it runs off community hardware. It doesn't require much. It can actually be in each store. It wouldn't be that much of a problem. For the kiosk, well, I integrate with a near-field device. Okay, I make sure that everything is in an observable collection, and I notify property change, so WPF reacts properly to the data content coming in from commerce.
Yeah, and this is why you do want to be using full WPF, so that you can talk to things like the point of sale support or the hardware support versus just say Silverlight 1.1. Everything that you saw in the rich web experience can be buildable with Silverlight 1.1 and share a lot of the same code when it's available. Like today we're using an XPAP. Where if you really need to talk to the hardware, that's where you'd actually get into the full WPF piece.
Correct. The benefits, well, I think from a user experience, it's quite dramatic. Was it Forrester?
Yeah, again, it gets back to what Forrester is saying. You can see that, one, you can get truly multi-channel is there, and this is what people have been talking about on slides for the better part of a decade. I mean, I've got a slide from almost 9 years ago that described this scenario, but yet it's not actually been something that's hit the mainstream, whereas now it's actually doable with commodity technology and commodity hardware, and something that you can actually go build using the technologies we've shown you here at MIX. Whereas, and so it really is making it real and making it possible.
Correct. So the idea is a bit like integration is not at the software level. It has to also integrate the devices. Ultimately, make sure you remember that this multi-channel only works because I can actually use my scanners, I can use my devices, otherwise it doesn't work. Okay. And just to reemphasize the facts, I see a lot of kiosks over there that actually is just web applications. And it shows they're slow, they're ugly, it doesn't work. Okay? So, and I'm going to show you the mobile application. It actually runs on this. Whoops. But I had to turn it off for the mics. And it's also a lot more viewable on a device simulator from Microsoft. So again, here we could have went, in a sense, the easy way and use HTML for mobile devices or use WML. What you'll see, though, is that it's a lot more compelling if I use here I'm using the Mobile 5 itself. I'm programming for Mobile 5, creating a real application in Mobile 5, not just saying, I can show HTML, so show it the HTML. No, actually build and spend the time to actually build the application in Mobile 5. Therefore, you have a lot richer experience. Here I got updated catalog. So because I want to support disconnected scenario, in this case I'll say I don't need that. But I could also update my data, right? I can do it live, or I can go disconnected scenarios. It's up to us when we create the application to decide the business logic and the drivers. What's a good scenario for this? Well, Jane is, she's buying a lot of stuff from my store. She's a loyal customer, but she went to a competitor. And while she's looking at the skis, she's finding out, you know what? I think I saw those keys earlier at the other shop. So, right, she has a portable kiosk, basically, where she can actually browse and verify the price, do price comparisons from our store, which is the Alpine Ski House, and the competitor store. And then right there, she can decide that, hey, I like this one, the Alpine Ski House, the price is better. Perhaps in this case, she was looking at a ski jacket. So here what I see is all the categories available. Whereas there's a plus is actually where there's actually a result found for the search term you specified. Perhaps I was looking at the ski jacket. Okay, where's the image?
It didn't download.
Okay, use your imagination. There's a nice image in the big white space there. Again, when it works, it's a lot more compelling than WML, HTML, because it's built for mobile 5. You can actually have proper text sizing. You can do a lot more for applications.
Just as easily, you could be doing the WML with ASP.NET and have it work on anything. But or when Silverlight comes out later on this year with versions for other non-Microsoft Windows mobile things, you could deliver a similar experience using Silverlight on any phone of any of the major brands. So any of the major Symbian, Nokia, Sony Ericsson phones will be able to have this type of experience later this year when that version of Silverlight becomes available for Windows Mobile.
Here, I added a product to the cart. I'm in a mobile device, but I can still have a shopping cart. I want to view my cart. I got 2 carts. I got a total price. I can review what I'm going to buy. If I'm happy, I'm ready for checkout. I'm going to pay now. Jane's a loyal customer. Should I re-log in? I already have all the information. She just has to specify the proper store. And off we go. Now she's going to receive the confirmation numbers, so she can bring that to the store when she comes in. That work? Yes. Order number 063. That's why we use the paper. I don't know about you, but I can't remember that number, right? So it's kind of important. In the mobile device, though, you can keep it you can keep it handy. When you go back to the local store, you can just show, well, that's my order number. Can you just bring it up? The guy has to enter it. Off you go. Okay. From a point of sale perspective, I know I got a new order coming in. My new order is flashing. Same deal. I can do the fulfillment process, make sure everything is fine, that the product is going to be kept in store for the person buying it, and make sure that everything is available for the person. Okay. I integrate my multi-channel into this. All right. I'm going to show you quickly. I think we're running out of time. How does the send payment work from a mobile device? Well, basically, we get all the information we need, and we say on line 41, post the data. All right. My post data. What it does, it formats the XML that I need to actually send the proper order information, and I send it through HTTP. Okay? So again, I've extended commerce. I've offered a new surface for commerce to actually be able to talk to, so that that multi-channel actually works. Okay? It's just an extension mechanism. It's built into commerce. There's nothing, there's no magic. It's just a simple, okay, well, I got an XML in, build the order, give it to commerce, everything's good. I'm going to go to quick review what I just did. Provide a lightweight interface to Commerce Server. Okay, like I said, I'm simply sending a little XML, sending it there.
Yeah, I think the key best practice to take away from here is thinking about the disconnected scenario or not having to go get the same data every single time. Because that's what will give you the performance advantage versus actually if you're like in a really bad coverage zone, like I've been in parts of Manhattan where the concrete canyons take over. You don't want to be having to go get every piece of data, every image, every time. And this gives you the ability to actually go do that without actually having to, be always connected and always on.
Correct.
And then, like we said, today this is something you can do with Windows Mobile 5 today. Tomorrow with Silverlight for Windows Mobile, that will or Silverlight Mobile, that will let you actually be able to do something comparable on pretty much any major mobile platform that's out there today.
Major benefit, well, you're still connected with your clients everywhere. Okay, you got your portable kiosk. That's invaluable. Accessing product details. I know when I'm shopping for a printer, I'm always looking at the number of page per minute or the number of this. If it's available, my competitors don't even have the information. I'll go back to that store.
Yeah, or like if I go out on the weekend for a drive, get an anchoring to buy yet another gadget to add to my seemingly endless collection of gadgets, and I didn't take my laptop with me, and all I've got is my Trio. It can be pretty handy too.
Yeah. And the other benefit, which can't be overlooked, is it actually creates a credible UI for actually shopping online with a mobile device. If you use HTML on your mobile device, it's not credible. It just doesn't work. It's too cumbersome. You don't see all the details information. You can't have trees. You can't have any interactivity. Okay?
So really what we've really shown you is that, even though a lot of what we've shown you is futures looking and something that, people right now today are only talking about, the message to take away from is that this stuff actually is buildable today, and the technology really, as of this spring and throughout the latter part of this year, as the rest of Silverlight comes online, is really something that actually is doable this year. So starting in 2008, this stuff you actually will be able to go out and do this. As we've shown you, there really isn't a lot of rocket science to this. It's just taking something that's already out there that exposes the data in the right way and then just consuming that data in new mediums to build these types of applications.
Correct.
So that's really our core message. At this point, just to give you an example, the closing up, we've got a lot of customers actually out there doing this all over the world in various versions of Commerce Server. So this is something that we're working with a lot of customers today. We've got about 30+ engagements going on all throughout the world, that are actually doing this in some way, shape, or form or more. There's several that we can't talk about yet because they're still early on, but this is really what's going on and what's out there, and what we hope you've taken away from this is the point that it actually is achievable. So at this point, we've got about 7 minutes left. We'd like to open it up to as much Q&A as you'd like to ask until the next presentation has to start. So with that, thank you very much for your time and being here very early on Wednesday morning.